Breaking news out of Hollywood. Sick lib stars want to shut it down now. This is treason. Lock them up by Cat Stevens for freedomdaily.com. Liberals have made no secret of their hatred for President Trump, and no group as vocal as Hollywood. It seems that the rich and famous are all too willing to alienate hard-working Americans by not only snubbing but outright insulting our chosen president because he doesn't agree with what they want. Apparently, Hollywood hasn't taken enough of a hit lately with their scandals. They're willing to risk ticking off all those ticket buyers with their indecent rhetoric. The stars who have spoken out against President Trump are too numerous to recount here, but possibly one of the most vocal is Starship regular and political activist George Takei, or Takei. Then the actor turned LGBTQ rights activist has been working overtime to whip up his social media followers with a Chicken Little style, the sky is falling narrative about what he believes will happen to the country if President Trump is left alone. Takei's take on the results of President Trump's presidency has up to now been pretty standard liberal bleeding heart jargon, but he recently crossed a line with a call to arms that has horrified many, according to Downtrend. Takei's plea should be paid attention to because he's asking for the entire government to be shut down should President Trump demand a fair investigation. George Soros' front group MoveOn.org is already organizing disturbances in over 150 U.S. cities if Mueller is dumped, and Rob Meathead Reiner is calling for open insurrection. Starfleet Commander Hikaru Sulu, aka George Takei, has chimed in with his 2 cents and is imploring his followers to shut down the entire country, whatever that may mean. If Trump fires Mueller, patriotic Americans would be well within their rights to shut the country down through massive and sustained protest. Really, you idiot. If Trump fires Mueller, patriotic Americans would be well within their rights to shut the country down through massive and sustained protest. Sulu/Takei is one of Hollywood celeb who has a particular loathing for President Trump. He is a homosexual activist, which gives him preferential status on the left, even if he was recently accused of sexual assault. What he seems to be calling for is a massive disruption of commerce, which should at least technically fall under the definition of domestic terrorism. Shutting down the country would take a hugely coordinated series of acts of sabotage and subversion, including intimidation tactics to close down roads and prevent law-abiding Americans from going to their jobs and going about their daily business. What these non-political figures seem to be neglecting is the fact that it's the will of the people, as in the majority of voting age non-felon legal citizens, who get to decide what this country does, not those with the deepest pockets and the masses that they can manipulate. If America agrees with the president that Mueller is a biased investigator, then he should be removed, obviously. What the left wants us to believe is that the president is an out-of-control dictator who will fire anyone who gets in his way. The only problem with that is that those who keep touting that theory are also ignoring things like the evidence to support the firing that President Trump has been carrying out. Just because someone has a lot of enemies doesn't mean that they are the enemy of all. In other words, just because a group decides to make trouble for a leader doesn't mean that he's not still doing what another group wants. And in the case of President Trump, the liberal roadblocks never seem to end, but the silent majority that elected him still support the goals that the president is pursuing. Here's more from our source about the ongoing debate over Mueller's credibility in this case. The common thread emerging from the celebrities who serve as the mouthpieces for the puppeteers behind the Democratic Party is that special counsel Robert Mueller is to be protected at all costs. The anti-Trump coup has invested all that it has in George W. Bush's former FBI director, a man who failed to even charge anybody in the 9/11 attacks, but destroyed the life of a man who was incorrectly accused of plotting and executing the anthrax mailings after that day of terror. Wow. While Mueller's FBI leadership was less than stellar, he makes one hell of a political fixer, one who will use every dirty and possibly illegal trick in the book to make up a parallel construction case against the legitimately elected POTUS. Mueller's dishonest and sleazy witch hunt is finally starting to face questions as to its independence and fairness, and the left is going completely bat guano, whatever that means, over the possibility that President Trump may bring this dastardly coup d'etat to a close. It's hard to see what is patriotic about that. It sounds a lot more like fascism to me. The Department of Homeland Security and other law enforcement entities should be monitoring these loudmouth celebrities. They may be paper tigers themselves, but their fame gives them a following, and one that has been brainwashed into believing that the United States is in a period exactly like Nazi Germany in the 1930s. Reiner, Takei, and their fellow cultural elitists, sore losers, are playing with fire and should be the ones held accountable if and when their mobs start torching the city. Yeah, because in actuality, that's a threat. Actually, they're calling for violence. Actually, you see what I'm saying? It's not a protest. They're talking about shutting things down, and I think Secret Service should pay these idiots a visit. That's what I think. They shouldn't be allowed to get away with this kind of rhetoric. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And again, thank you so much for watching.